So how we're going to do this? Well, I'm not really sure. But anyway, this is episode 15. And Doc, keep your hat on. You look, what are you doing to my head? Well, anyway, we're going to take turns reading everything. Stop that.
How real is kill?
Anyway, let's start. You just have to go without your hat. Hope the side note. Okay. And here we go. Speaking of my grandson Cassio, I know this is another stupid question, but I have to ask this, considering the place and how long I've been here in Notlim. But is Cassio real? Real? Of course he's real, says Marie with surprise. You don't even sound like Marie. Oh, I'm sorry. Why would you even ask such a silly question like that? Bailey's about to offer an explanation to this strange type of question when Champ speaks up and says, "That's not a silly question at all, Mom, considering the fact that most of what we see here has been created for us to resemble Earth from Dean's superhero vacation world." Oh, you gotta turn the page. Marie reacts with surprise, and Bailey reaches out and puts her hand on Champ's face for gratitude and says, "Thank you, son." Champ is embarrassed by such praise, and despite all the years of Notlim, he still remains uncomfortable with receiving compliments from another other than his wife. Yeah. Marie betrays herself with a little chortle. What's a chortle? It's a little laugh. Okay. And purges the Champ with humor as he says with splendor, "As I was saying, Mom, Cassio is real. Very real. I spent over 18 hours in labor with this one, and let me tell you, Mom, it was labor. Thank goodness Champ was there holding my hand." "I'm sorry I wasn't there for you, dear, like I was with you and Corky," replies Bailey. "Me too," says Champ with reflection of the distasteful job of replacing his mom for such duties. Bailey is amused with Champ's discomfort, and it's shared by her smiling daughter Marie once again. "So tell me, are you planning to have any more? I could always use a granddaughter." "That's a very interesting question, Mom. But the fact is, Cassio is the only one," replies Champ with distant clumsiness that Bailey quickly picks up on. Bailey replies apologetically, "Oh, I'm sorry. Kids, I didn't mean to." "It's okay, Mom," replies Marie. "It's not like we haven't tried." Champ begins to nervously rub his hands together as he looks around the room and sees something else to focus on. He looks longingly at the door, and Bailey can tell that he is considering going back on deck to avoid the subject that is making him increasingly uncomfortable. Bailey's silence is crushing, and she's not sure if she should console her daughter with a hug or just change the subject. It was her impression that her words might have struck something very personal and painful. Champ returns to the conversation by raising his hand to his chin and begins to rubbing his beard. "You don't got no beard." Well, he explains, "Actually, Mom, as we have come to find out later that it was simply impossible for a human to get pregnant here. Dean Fitzpatrick and his investors always wanted this place to be the Mecca place for vacations with no complications. The Tesnus and the Dromaeosaurs, those are the two alien species." Oh, yeah, okay. "Insisted on this too. The last thing they wanted was another species to overfill the planet and drain her of her resources. So you see, this place has been designed in such a way so as to stop a woman from ovulating and making conception impossible. Here on Notlim, a woman cannot even menstruate." Ooh, that's probably good. "The creators of this place felt that, too, could hamper the good experience of this place and take away the vacation experience." Yeah, I like that. You're in my way. Okay, sorry. Marie speaks up cavalierly and says, "That's something I haven't missed at all, Mom. Not having to worry about your period during the most inopportune times has been a real godsend," she concludes with a docile grin, following a palatable tone in her voice that she understood. A few silent seconds passes as Marie continues. "Judging by the look on your face, Mom, I guess you're wondering how we were able to pull it off, in a matter of speaking, having Cassio, despite all the safeguards in place." Champ backs away slowly and moves to the other side of the room, as all the while keeping his eyes focused on the escape route. Marie is not oblivious to Champ's growing uneasiness with the subject, and yet, despite his growing discomfort, she can't help but give way to an amiable smile to her mother. "It's funny, Mom. Some subjects for Champ are not too difficult or easy to discuss with him as it was with Dad." "I know what you mean," replies Bailey with a receding smile and a voice dipping in luster, as she too is reminded of her loss. With Providence what it is, Marie continues, "The fact is, Mom, when we came to Notlim, I was pregnant already. I think that's why I was so emotional and hard to get along with at times. It was only your story, or should I say fib, that made me go along with all this while the whole thing was beginning to come here." Bailey looks guilty and downcast as she admits sorely, "I'm sorry, dear. I guess this whole thing boils down to my fault. We all would have never been in this mess if I didn't convince you to accept Brady's offer." "You okay?" "Yeah." Marie looks dourly at her mother and moves to comfort her. Marie places her hands on the mother's hand and embraces them both and says, "It's okay, Mom. Don't worry about it. I understand why you did what you did. I may have been tempted to do the same thing for Champ as you did for Dad. Besides, we've had some good years here. I understand. I almost know how difficult it was for you back then to lie to me. I understand and I forgive you." Bailey smiles a thank you, but cannot bring herself to respond. Her guilt still weighs heavily on her heart. Marie turns around halfway and looks at Champ and does a little scowl and whispers, "Besides, Mom, it's more Champ's fault than mine or yours." Bailey looks at her in surprise as she does a quick gander at Champ, who has found himself a sitting position in the back of the cabin just out of earshot. He looks away with guilt, knowing that she probably told her that it was his fault. As far as I was concerned, we were done having children. That pregnancy I had with Corky years ago nearly killed me, and I vowed never to go through that again. Champ decided that the best way to deal with this was for him to have a vasectomy. That's what we did. But years later, the procedure seemed to reverse itself. When Champ went to the doctor and was given some medication to treat a condition that he had, he unintentionally took too many pills and was feeling very good for the effects of the medicine, coupled with his usual 8-ounce glass of red wine every evening it had quite an effect on him. "Oh, you shouldn't drink with medication." "Yeah, I know." She turns her head again and quickly slides a quick look at Champ as he starts to become a bit antsy and fearing she has arrived at the story she knew he was bound to tell, and he was going to end up as the goat. The fact of the matter, Mom, is that he was feeling too good. Our son was growing up and was graduating the next month when Champ suddenly got all his hormones in an uproar and thought he was 19 again and proceeded to romance me. Since we both have been very busy lately with different things, we hadn't been intimate in a good while, so it was very easy that this would end up in the bedroom. What could I say? After minutes of the act, I began to get nauseous and I knew I was pregnant. Champ assured me that my sickness was probably because of nerves and excitement and planning this graduation party and I was not having morning sickness. For the most part, I believed him. After all, he was fixed. So I thought. And there's the picture of them that you can see. Bailey looks back at Champ, who smiles guiltily and shrugs his shoulders with embarrassment, knowing which part of the story he was at. He considers bravely facing the music and approaching them and salting the conversation his way, but hesitates. He chooses to wait. When the truth came to light regarding their reason for inventing Superhero Vacation World, both species began blaming each other for the deception. That's what led to the war, I believe. War? Here? On Notlim? I don't understand. How? Asked Bailey with disbelief. Let me take over. Okay. Marie moves closer to her mother, puckers her forehead to show that the serious intent of the conversation as she slowly moves toward the chair to sit. Bailey takes note of this, knowing that this was something that was important and probably unpleasant to tell. Marie blinks quickly, looking up at her mother as she carefully weighs the words and prepares to measure them out cautiously. I don't know if you know this, Mom, but the real reason why the people brought us here in the first place was to establish goodwill with the Teslas and the Trashy Source. The superhero world and its various simulations was total theater to them. They thrived on it at first as something exotic and new. The people who created this place knew they had a gold mine. They knew they could get rich by helping nations on the earth to create armies and provide quick training for their special forces almost overnight and away from the watchful enemy's eyes. Sad to say, this included the United States. You did a good job reading. Well, thank you. I'll take over now. Oh, okay. While shock on Bailey's face, she exclaimed mournfully, "You mean Dean Fitzpatrick had planned this all along?" "Yes, him, and I heard there were others too," concludes Marie as her mood goes wintry. Bailey admits tacitly and says, "Well, at least they got me back here for you. I guess that means something." Marie's mood sweetens as the thought ripens. Yes, they did, and thank God for that. As the moment of reflection, appreciation slowly evaporates, Bailey's forehead, like her daughter, begins to pucker and bunch as the thought comes to her mind. Yeah, like you. "You never did finish telling me what happened after I left and what happened to Judge and all the others," asked Bailey with hesitation, almost afraid of the answer. Moves closer to her mother and whispers with a particular little laugh to her, "I think I've been mean enough to Champ already. Let me go get him, and he can give you the fuller answer than myself. He likes talking about it more than me, anyway." Bailey nervously nods in agreement and feels odd about this little transition. Something didn't seem right. Why did she not just tell her? Why was she delaying? Why was she passing the buck to him? She didn't know. One thing was for sure. She didn't like the way this thing was beginning to unfold. As Champ walks over to Bailey, he sees no discomfort or sense of him being coerced to inform her of something she did not want to hear. She is relieved. With no introduction or any real beginning, they usually characterize his usual way of giving a speech and lecture. He begins. "What happened, Mom, was that Notlim went to war. things proceeded to get more complicated by their religion and their expectations over the coming of the arrival of another species called the glowing ones. The glowing ones. And that's where we stop. Who are the glowing ones? Yeah, they probably glow. And more than that, yeah. Anyway, thank you for helping us, Dr. Goody. Yeah, thank you. I won't be with you next time. Well, okay. Well, maybe we'll get your brother. Yeah. Anyway, you sure you subscribe? And this concludes episode 15. Is it 15? Yeah, 15. Yeah, okay. All right. Thank you, guys. Bye. Oh, just a minute. Bye. I can't wave without my hand. Yeah, I know. Okay.